What's up guys? Thanks so much for checking out the channel today. I'm coming at you with a review of the Solo drone by 3DR. If this is on Amazon, it'd be really great if you could hit the yes button below the review to help me out. And if you're watching on YouTube today, thanks for checking out the channel. Hit that like button and subscribe for more updates and reviews coming soon on future products. So today I want to tell you a little bit about the Solo drone, reasons why you should not buy this drone. If you're going to buy it, make sure to buy from Amazon.com, and I'll tell you why. So I picked up the 3DR Solo drone back in May of 2016. It's currently September, the end of September. I've had a pretty good run with it as far as use time and experience. However, I've had a lot of problems, and I want to share those with you today. I first picked up this drone because there was a lot of hype back and forth around this being the newest, smartest drone that offers all kinds of things that other drones, such as the Phantom line from DJI, would offer. Things like the cable cam and the orbits and all the smart features. I thought that this would be a great drone for me because I've not really used drones before, and I could get really great cinematic footage without actually spending a lot of time practicing drone stuff. I picked it up in May. I spent about 3 or 4 days using it and then headed out of the country for the entire summer. I went to Guatemala to use this due to a lot of different footage and filming for a nonprofit. It's not been a great experience. Within a few weeks of using it, only a few times, it kept telling me I had to calibrate the drone, and going back and forth and spinning it around and magnetic interference, all these different things. So I finally reached out to the 3DR support. We went back and forth with emails and they read the logs from it. Turns out an accelerometer went bad, and so it was actually the drone's way of keeping it from crashing. And so they said the only way we can fix this is to replace the entire drone. Now the customer service on this first experience was really good with 3DR. I got phone calls back and forth from them. They actually paid for this to be sent via FedEx internationally so I could return it back. I didn't have the original box with me there. It was at my house here in the States. But they were really understanding. They received everything back. They wouldn't ship it to me internationally, but they shipped it back to my house, and I had a friend bring it down to me. It was sort of a hassle, but I think they did a good job overall in customer service, replacing something that was defective. I got the drone back, the new one. It was a refurbished model, and so that was kind of a bummer, but I was pretty confident that it would only be this one case of issues. I used it for a few more weeks, not very many times over that amount of those weeks. I didn't use it that much. And then all of a sudden, my video feed turned green. The way this works is you have a device, like I've been using an iPhone that mounts right here in the controller. You can use iPads or Androids or whatever. And it gets pretty much an HD video feed from the GoPro that you mount in this gimbal. I should mention that this drone does not come with a gimbal. It comes with a little bracket to hold a GoPro, because it doesn't come with a camera either. It does mount with your GoPro, which to me I liked. But with the bracket, the footage was really, really shaky and just not good. You weren't going to get usable footage out of it. So I picked up the gimbal, which was a lot more extra money. And so I'm running this gimbal and my footage is green. When I put the footage out of the GoPro onto my computer, all the footage was perfectly fine. It was just the feed that was going from the gimbal to my device, which basically is your eye in the sky. Without it, you're just watching your drone fly and pretty much guessing at what you're filming. So I was doing that, and it was really terrible. And so I contacted 3DR again. This time, the experience was not as great. It took a long time between interactions with emails, several days back and forth while this thing was just grounded and unable to be used. Finally, we figured out after a few weeks that it was actually the gimbal itself that was the issue. And so the gimbal would have to be replaced. Now, he did offer to ship it to me internationally, this time without receiving this gimbal back. But at that point in the summer, I was heading home in about 3 weeks, and I was like, look, let's not worry about that. Just ship it to my house in the States. That would be great. I'll have it when I get there. I didn't hear back from them, and so I followed up when I got back to the States and didn't hear again. It was a few days between replies, and finally they said, okay, yes, we're gonna replace this, but you're gonna have to send us your old one back now. So it was sort of a weird thing. I packaged it back up, I sent it off. When they received it, I was told, hey, we're out of stock with gimbals, so we can't, and we don't know when they're gonna be back in stock, so we can't replace it right now. So this thing sat on a shelf for even longer. I finally got a replacement this week. It's September 26th. Again, bought this back in May. Put the gimbal on, booted it up, updated all the firmware, made sure everything was great, flew it right here in the backyard for a little bit to test it, and the following day I took it to a client's house to do some realtree footage. While I was shooting, I was just paused between shots, wasn't touching the joysticks at all, and the helicopter started to drift and go in a different direction. Not the helicopter, the quadcopter, sorry. Started to drift and go in a different direction without me telling it to. I had started jamming this pause button, which essentially says, hey, if it starts to do something, smash the pause button and it's gonna stop. Didn't do that. I started to correct it to get it to go back in the direction I needed it to. It wouldn't do that. It hit a tree and took out some limbs. It still maintained its altitude just fine, but it continued to drift into the client's neighbor's property, which can be very bad. And so I decided to just push this down, get it down and land it basically. It landed on a hill, didn't shut off when it landed, and just kind of tumbled over to its back. The drone's fine, everything still works, but at what point do I have to say, enough's enough? And I think this is it. I've been pretty patient with all this whole process. When a drone starts losing control and I can't control it, especially around clients' property, that's endangering to their property, their possessions. It's endangering to me because of insurance reasons and liability, right? So I said, you know, this is enough. And so I contacted 3DR, told them the issues, was going to submit everything, and said, look, I'm just really not interested in this anymore. Here's my history, here's all the backlog. And they said, you know what, you're outside of your 30-day return period. We can't do anything for you, I'm sorry. And so that's just incredibly frustrating, especially when they knew all the things that were happening over the last few months. So 5 months with this thing, I've probably used it only a few times, just a handful of times really. And so that's frustrating. Thankfully, and the reason I say buy this from Amazon, I contacted Amazon and said this whole story to them, explained it. I just called someone. Customer service was super amazing, and they said, I'm so sorry about all of your problems. We're gonna refund you everything. Just send it all back. Granted, I had bought the drone, I bought the gimbal, I bought little extra antennas to help boost the range, which didn't really work. I bought extra batteries. I bought these little thumbsticks to help these guys, I don't know, bought all kinds of stuff. And they said, anything you did associated with the drone, send it back to us, we're gonna give you a refund. Way to go, Amazon. That's how you do customer service. Whether or not it's been an indefinite amount of time, I understand there has to be some sort of parameters around returns, but when when a customer has this much issues with something, you wanna be able to make it right. So Amazon, great job. 3DR, terrible job. I don't know if you're having good experiences with this, and maybe you're watching this to decide whether or not you should get it. When it does work, I've had great experiences, and I thought everybody else that had negative reviews, well, they're probably just not using it correctly. I'm really techie, I can figure it out, it's gonna be okay. It's not okay. So what I say is, don't pick this up, avoid this one. I'm returning it today, boxing it back up, it's heading back to Amazon. Again, thank you, Amazon, you guys rock. And I'll be picking up a different brand, probably that starts with D and ends with JI. I've not used their drones before, but they offer all the same features now that this was offering back when I picked this up, and they have a huge track record of things going right. And I've had nothing but things going wrong with this, so it's going back today. I hope this is helpful to you. I hope it's insightful. I took the negative reviews in stride and decided that it was just going to be, you know, user error on those people's parts. You can probably say the same thing about me, but I don't know. There's something going on here, and so maybe you have a great experience with it, maybe you don't, but I wanted to go ahead and share my experience with you and hopefully deter you from picking it up. I rely heavily on reviews when I make my purchasing decisions, and I wanted to be sure and put this out to those that are looking at buying this brand, just to give a little warning, it's not what it cracks up to be. So thanks so much for tuning in today. Again, if this is on Amazon, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the yes. If it's helpful to you below, that's really, really helpful for me. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching today. Subscribe to the channel because the next drone that I pick up, I'm gonna do another full review on, and I'm sure it's gonna be fantastic. So check out that review coming in soon. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.